Today I'm going to show you guys how I use BlackBox to create an actionable watch list. If you're unfamiliar, BlackBox is a flow service provider. It allows us to see what market participants are planning and the conviction they have behind the plays that they're getting in. Once we're logged in, we have the option side and we have the equity side. I'm going to jump over to options. Once I'm inside options, there's some filters I'm going to go through and change. I do not care about white. I only want to see puts, calls, yellow, magenta. We have above ask, below bid, at or above ask, and at or below bid. For purposes of creating a watch list, I'm going to keep everything at the above ask and at or above ask. I'm going to begin by filtering. I want to see the largest dollar amounts, $500,000 or more, and I'm going to remove all mega cap by selecting this one as well. And I only want to see stocks. I don't care about the ETFs. So I'm going to set my filters. I'm going to switch over here to the alert stream. I'm going to filter this out as well. This is going to show me a multitude of things, but the only thing that I care to see are the dark pool prints and the insiders. So I'll set those filters. Now what are the colors? White means open interest has not been exceeded. That's why I filter those out. Purple is open interest has been exceeded, but in multiple trades. So once, like this one right here for Goldman Sachs, you know, OI was exceeded, but it took multiple trades for this to come through. Yellow means that open interest was exceeded in a single trade. So this is a single block or sweep trade that has exceeded the day's open interest. So right here with Intel, this block came through, 1.04 million. Now what's the difference between a block and a sweep? All right, so this shows urgency. If you have a block trade, that means you're going through with a single exchange. If you have a sweep, you're going to sweep through all the exchanges and get filled. This pretty much shows that the purchaser of this option says, I want in and I want in right now. They paid $6 in premium for this, 633,000. Okay, now I can click over here at this IV tab and I can see the open interest for the day. The yellow line is the close and the blue is your OI. So the open interest really shot up today. All right. So this is something to keep an eye on. And once I'm in NVIDIA, I'll switch over to the heat map. The heat map gives me a general overview of, you know, what's been going on over the last several weeks with NVIDIA. So the CO and PO columns includes all contracts expiring this week. The C1 and P1 are for the following week, and C2 and P2 are in 2 weeks or more. So this is where price is trading at right here, closest to the 160 strike. Green is bullish. These are calls that are coming in at ask, or they are puts that are coming in at bid, right? So either they're selling to open puts or they're just closing them. And then the red would show puts at ask, and bid calls would show as red. So I can see, okay, this 170 strike, people are targeting it pretty heavily, the 172.5, even up to 180, you know, and it's not looking too bearish. So NVIDIA, this is something that I'd be interested in pursuing, or at least toggling down. Now, once I'm in NVIDIA, I can filter out of my 500,000 and then get down to the 100,000, and I'm going to throw in my below bids and at or below bids as well. So let's see how today played out. Right off the bat, we have calls coming in at ask, 172.5, 172.5. And over here, I can see the IV stayed the same on that strike, but look at this. This is above ask. So they came in, they paid $188 per call, and then not too long after, they came in and they paid $196 per call. So even though price was increasing on the contracts and on the underlying, they were buying more. So that's good to see. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here into my watch list and I'm going to add NVIDIA. Okay. And then I'm going to check out what else is going on with the other strikes. So we have some ask side puts, bid side puts, and some more calls into this 172.5. So I kind of like this, right? Now when I create my watch list in here, this is going to be because once I have all the tickers I'm interested in this watch list, I'm going to make it so I can only see those. And then I'll show you how I incorporate that with ThinkOrSwim. So just for an example, we'll do NVIDIA right now. Let me filter this back out. And now instead of having the 500K, I'm going to go down to 100K since there wasn't a ton of action today. And what I'm looking for is, you know, something that repeatedly sticks out to me. So I'm seeing a lot of Tesla, seeing some Neo, Airbnb. So Airbnb popped up here quite a bit. Look at all these ask side puts all the way down. You know, this one right here, dollar amount, 1.93 million on the 95 put. So that one's interesting. And it's remained high. Okay, what's the heat map look like for Airbnb? Ooh, 105 calls this week. It's trading at 98. We got 3 days left. 85 puts for this week. Look at these 75 puts more than 2 weeks out. And that's what we're looking at is these. That's definitely actionable. So I'm going to put in Airbnb. Come back in here and check her out. What about T-Doc, right? Near the end of the day, you can see some options come in that, you know, they can explode the very next day. So this is T-Doc. This is out to next month, the end of the month, and you know we got the 28 and the 29 call. Pretty bullish. Nothing standing out there. If I want to, I'm going to toss in some white in my at or below bids. And let's get rid of my 100K and just see what else we got. The bid side 25 puts. So 28, 29, 30 call. Now over here, when I pulled that up, I can see T-Doc also had a dark pool print. So 3 minutes ago, it came in. There was $11 million worth of shares at 29.27. And over here depicts the chart. Now, if you switch this up, go to Candle, Studies, type in volume. Let's type in volume profile. Add dark pool volume profile, and then add normal volume profile. And let's jack this out maybe a day. Okay, so black box is nice because it will give you volume profile on this. So the orange are your dark pool prints. All right. Love. Look at that. Now this is a nice setup. This is actually a play that I took today. All right. Now black box alerted it when it came through. All right. So you got alerted on this major candle up when these came in. It price drifted all the way down today, and then luckily it returned. This is a nice setup right here regarding the options. Now we still have to review the charts, but I'm liking this. They bought it, they averaged down, and then they kept buying. IV actually increased by the end of the day. The implied volatility was more than when they originally bought it. So that shows conviction in the play besides the dollar amount. If we go to the heat map, yeah, we can see that. That looks good. I like that. So we'll add love. And then if I click on alerts, I can also see that at 3:27 we had a steady bullish alert, and then at 11:01 we had a large bullish alert this morning. And what that means is a large is when a large contract exceeds open interest and is filled at the ask. All right, and then a steady is when there are repeated opening sweepers in an option for a particular stock. And the price of the corresponding options contracts increase continually within a 60-minute time frame. So that's how the algorithm within the system works. All right. So we got a couple plays now. And this is how I do it. I'll go through here. I'll look at something I'm interested in. Now I already checked out Airbnb. If I want to just click on alerts and then come through. So, and if you could find a name that you're already familiar with, that's nice to have as well. So we can go in here and we can say like GameStop, right? Now I trade GameStop often. So at 227 we had 148 calls come in for this week. And right now they're only a 9% gain. So if they're still in these, Theta's going to eat these overnight. They're going to open up red if they don't have a gap up. So let's check out flow for GameStop. Okay. And this isn't something that I'm really interested in. So I can see the 148 call right here, but it was only 100. It was $67,000 behind it. All right. Yeah, it exceeded OI, but this OI is pitiful. 61, 60, 66. Now we're at 235. It's really not worth the risk for me, and there's not enough money behind it. That's just retail. Someone's playing games. But we'll do one more. We'll find one here. What about Square? Okay. So Square, we have a dark pool print right here. Unusual dark pool activity at 11:08. So 100,000 share block, 6.1 million at 61.35 came in. Price is trading below it. Now, generally, if price is trading below a dark pool print, that's bearish. You would assume that's a sell, but I wouldn't truly look at it that way as much as I would look at it as someone was interested at that price. So 61.35. All right, now let's see what this flow is about for Square. So I'm seeing puts on the bid, some puts at ask. I mean, dollar-wise, and money appears to be bearish, right? These Square Leap puts, 90 puts, there's some money behind those. So I'll check out the heat map. There are some people shooting for upside. Look at the 70 expiring this week, 62.5 this week, and 74. And then there's some puts being sold at 40. Now, do I think we're gonna drop down to 40 next week? That'd be almost a 50% loss, about 35%. But I'll throw it in here just so I can show you guys how I use this to create a watch list. Now there's one other thing that I like to do with flow. I want to come in here and get rid of all filters and click on unusual activity only. And I want this to at least be over 100,000. So this is unusual flow. Okay. And this D-low, look at this. 7:15, 20 call. Bid, bid, ask, bid, bid. All right. Let's watch IV. 87, 86, 90, 85, 84. So I don't like to see that. IV did increase, then it decreased. One came in at ask, the rest came in at bid. Contract price decreasing, right? Now some people would say, hey, you got a 20 call, this is bullish, right? Someone's purchasing 20 calls. Well, we can see that by being on the bid, it's more likely that they're being sold. The IV, as IV decreases, your open interest should be decreasing as well, right? So I'm assuming that these were sold, unless someone was lucky enough to get filled on the bid for over $1 million worth of DLO. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, and this is going to auto detect. If it's bid, it's going to show up red. You know, generally our fills and our IV will tell us a different story. So if I was interested in DLO, what I would be looking for is I would watch open interest the following day. So I should see this amount come through. But we'll add DLO, right? So now let's say that these are the equities I'm interested in. Nvidia, Airbnb, LUV, Square, and DLO. Okay. What I'm going to do then is jump into ThinkOrSwim. Pull up my charts, and I'm going to start with DLO. So what has price been doing? Well, in the last year, it's been drifting down like the entire market. It's trading below point of control on the yearly. It is above. It has dipped down on the hourly and kind of bounced, right? So I'm going to consider this right here. This could be a soft support. And then today, what did it do? Came down, dipped down real hard, and then sitting at point of control. So if I want to make an actionable watch list using this, knowing that they are targeting the 20 call, which is slightly in the money, I would say if price can remain above 23.83, which is right there, I will go long. So I could buy those 20 calls if I believed it was bullish. It's very interesting the way that flow is set up, because it's good dollar amounts, but it's like they were getting filled at bid the entire time. But that doesn't always mean that it's bearish. So if I wanted this, I'll create a price level that I'm willing to buy at. So 23.83. Create an alert with the drawing. Okay. And what I want to know is if it crosses below, that will be my cut. Okay. And now, if I'm going long, what am I targeting? I'm targeting this 34-32 range, which is pretty high. There's this imbalance here. So if we could stay above here, look to fill this, push back up to 29.11. All right. That also covers us on a small gap fill here, and then there's a small gap fill up here. So 29.11 will be my first area of overhead supply. And I want to know if it crosses at all. And then my next price target is going to be this area of supply right here at 31.83 and then 34.32. So I would target those same calls. We'll go the 20 call, and our cut level is going to be 23.83, and that gives us about $1.50. So DLO is you know, we'll let it drop $1.50, but our upside here is going to be about $10. This will be our first scale out. Our second scale out will be point of control at 34.32. Okay, that's D-low. Square, we had the 62, we had the 70s, and up to the 74s. With our dark pool print coming in at 61.35. So I can say, all right, 61.35, I do want to notate that. Point of control today was $60.81. Yearly is 105.32, and we have some gaps to get filled. So with 61.35 being an area of interest, I'm going to mark that right off the bat. 61.35, and I will make it purple. Dotted. Boom. Okay, so there's our dark pool. Now, prices below today's point of control, almost every day's point of control. So what do I need to have happen? If these guys are bullish and are purchasing calls all the way up past 70, how am I going to manage this situation? Well, I need to see on a larger time scale where we are to our next closest support. So I'm going to switch this out to the 2-year, and let's see it 2 days at a time. That's still not enough. We're going to have to go to, give me the last 5 years on a weekly. Now look at that. Price, where it's trading at right now, is right at 5-year weekly point of control. This is a heavy support. 65.06 is that number. It's currently trading at $60.30. Technically, it's below it. So if I'm looking to follow that flow, 59.45, this low right here, if we break and create a new low, that's going to be a continuation of the downtrend. So I can get in here with 59.45 as my stop loss, or I can wait for it to clear that dark pool level, and that's what I'll do. If price can take out 61.35, I will go long, and I will target the 65 calls. Now, if we look back here, we have the 62.5, 65, all the way up to 70. The 71 call would probably be a better bet. Do 71 call for next week, if price can push up above that. So 82.79 is this point of control. That 71 call is calling for a gap fill. And I will also create an alert at this 61.35. I want to know if it crosses above. Okay. And crosses above, purchase the call, target to 71. Now, 71 is also this volume node right here as well. If it does break past this and it wants to continue running, my next target would be this 84.36 range. But I'm completely fine with a short expiry going for this gap fill and getting out. All right, and now my stop loss is going to be 59.45. else do we have? LUV, right? LUV, 35 calls. Same thing as before. It is below the yearly point of control, and you know, these are slightly in the money. From the last 3 years. Still not great. No, the reason behind them going with the 35 is this is clearly an area of importance, right? If it loses the 35 level, you would cut and take her down to 30, 46. But that's large enough money, and that is bullish activity. So we target the 35 strike, ride her up to 41.56 is our target. Now, if we can break through this area, we could continue up here. I'm not as bullish on that based on this setup. I would be looking at this 41. So I'll create an alert at 41. And my cut level will be the second I get out of the money, pretty much. So I'll do 35.10. Okay. If I enter here, that's where I'll exit. Now on the shorter time frame, yeah, point of control was 36.85. We could put our stop there. I'm giving it a little room to play just because of the money. We have this node up here at 37.65 and then 38.05. These are going to be our next two areas of resistance. Airbnb. I have some other stuff going on here from before. Let's get rid of that. All right. What did price do today? It's sitting right near its today's point of control. There's this large imbalance here, slight overhead supply, and then point of control. Now this is a huge jump. This is, you know, $20 jump. Now the bullish activity on Airbnb was the 105 call for this week and the puts. Yeah, September 16th. Okay. It did have a dark pool print in 98.87. So we'll go 98.87. Okay. Now, if it can break below I just really feel like this area needs to be cleared out, this imbalance. If it breaks below the 98.87 and there's really not much below here, it's kind of risky. I would rather add this play back up here at the 110 range. You know, and the funny thing about puts is they can be hedges, just well, calls can be hedges as well, but it's more likely for a put to be a hedge to shares. So, you know, this is $30 million in shares that were exchanged at 98.87, and then this is what, a couple million in puts. Now this could be a hedge. So yeah, this is an interesting one to watch. At 109, I would go short. At 120, I would be much more comfortable going short. This this is risky. You know, buying puts here, it just doesn't seem like it's worth the risk. So Airbnb recap, I'm going to look at 109.36. Let's do this. 109.35, let's say. And I'm going to create an alert there for my first time to go short. And then right around this 120 area, we'll say right here, 119.23. I'm going to create an alert right there. I just want to know if it crosses, not crosses above. Okay. So those are the levels that I'm looking at for that. Now our last one will be Nvidia. Nvidia did have the bullish activity on it. So for Nvidia, as long as it stays above 158.20, you know, we can easily push up through here to gap fill. In this node, there's really not a lot to distribute there. So this consolidation today, if you look at this node and how large it is compared to the prior days, this looks like it could begin to form accumulation. So once we have accumulation, we will rip past here, distribute a tiny bit here, and then come up, and then I'd be looking to distribute or instantly reject this 180 area. And if we look on the greater time scale, it's a similar story. This monster move down here to up here, of course this needed to be filled out. And we're looking on a greater time frame. Our point of control on the year is 193.49 and it's at 158. So it would make sense to reject right around this 187 range. So break 159.27, or if you want a structure break, if you want a structure shift, you would really ideally like it to be above that high. 163.09 will trigger those calls. Let's say we do the 172.5 2 weeks out. 172.5 2 weeks out. Right? 163.09 takes it there to the 172.5. And then we'll also do 181.27. All right. So we'll create an alert here. If it just crosses. Crosses. And that's what we're targeting. And then our ultimate price target would be to have our call go in the money. All right. And then get out before the 182.55 test or the 187 test. So we just start scaling out at all these levels. Reach, hit gap fill, sell a contract. If it begins to crumble back down, exit the entire position completely. If it breaks through and then continues to run and you see volume increasing, we got our next target. And then we would just still scale out. Now with ThinkOrSwim, I'll go into charts and let's open this up. And I gotta change this back. Throw the tickers from our watch list into our charts, and that's all we need. We're ready to roll. And that's how I use BlackBox flow service to create an actionable watch list.